Hey guys, so in this video I filmed for you my foundation routine, and I only do this routine whenever I need to put on a full face of makeup to a special event or anything like that, just because it's a little bit too much for an everyday. So to learn my tips and tricks, just keep on watching. Before my base, I like to have my eye makeup, skincare, and under eye concealer done. And the reason why I like to have my eye makeup done is because you don't even realize how much gunk is left behind on the surface of your skin when you're doing your eyeshadow. So I'm going to show you that later. And the other reason why is because I like having my foundation looking fresh as possible. Another thing is I like to apply some lip balm to my lips. That way they're nice and moisturized when I apply my lipstick. So to pick up the fallout that was left behind, I dipped a Q-tip into some makeup remover and I'm just sweeping it across my under eye. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over onto the dry side and pick up the extra oils and the eyeshadow that was left behind, because the other side was pretty dirty. It just started moving around eyeshadow. Yep, there is the nasty gunk I was talking about, and that probably would have been on top of your face if you would have done your foundation first. And so next what I'm going to do is my skincare, and I like to just go outwards when I'm applying my toner, just because I've heard a lot of estheticians say if you go outwards, you're not going against your skin. Up next, I like to apply my moisturizer because it helps my foundation last longer. It also prevents dry, cakey spots throughout the day, and since I'm moisturizing my face, my skin won't produce as much oil. So if you have oily skin, I highly recommend for you to find the correct moisturizer for your face. Up next is primer, and I don't put on primer when I do this routine anymore. I don't know why. It's not a necessity for me, but I do it sometimes, so I thought I'd show you. If and when I do use primer, I put it on the apples of my cheeks and my nose, because that is the first place you will see oil dots appearing throughout the day, the center of my forehead, going down in between my eyebrows, my upper lip area, and of course paying special attention to my laugh lines. Those things are no joke. That is the first place my makeup will crease, so I get it in there good. I've seen a lot of people put primer underneath their eyes, and I have tried it, and yes, it doesn't make your concealer crease. It makes it last for a long time and all that good stuff, but primer is meant to mattify, at least the ones I've tried. So with the primer under there, it just makes it look and feel dry, and since my under eyes are pretty dry already, I need all the moisture I can get. I like keeping a towel around when I do my makeup, just because, let's face it, no one cleans their brushes right after they do their makeup. So I like to wipe off any of the excess buildup that has dried up on top of my brush. This way it's just a little cleaner when I'm applying my makeup. And I also like to use a Gerber cap instead of the back of my hand to pour out products, just because the back of my hand will soak up the product and the Gerber won't. So I like to apply my concealer with this brush that doesn't have a name, so I'm going to give it one. This is my Angular Dome Syntho brush, and it's the perfect size to fit in my tear duct, just because I get blue in this area. It's more noticeable on some people, and on some people you can't even notice it at all. But I don't like to leave it out, so I like to get that nice and covered, as well as my crow's feet. I don't have crow's feet, but I do get a red line on the corner of my eye, so I like to make sure that's covered up as well. Okay, so I can't remember where I learned this trick, but I'm taking a damp sponge. This isn't the beauty blender because I ain't fancy like that, but instead of going outwards, I'm going inwards, and this is going to pick up excess product and prevent creasing. To buff out the edges of my concealer, I like to use a small stipple brush, and what this is going to do is blend the concealer and the foundation seamlessly. And since this brush is a little bit too big for the inner corner of my eye, I just use a blending brush. It's not synthetic, but it gets the job done. And I never told you guys why I like to do my concealer before my foundation, but the only reason why is because I like having my eye makeup done before I start my foundation. Okay, so finally we are moving on to my base, which is my foundation, spot correct, highlighter, and powder. So I'm just getting my hair out of the way, even though I get foundation in my hair anyways. Yay me. So when I think of foundation, I think of getting your face into one even tone, not so much coverage, just getting it, like whatever's discolored, just getting it into one even tone. With my clean finger, I'm picking up the foundation and dotting it on my face, focusing it more on the top half of my face, and then taking whatever is left on my finger and applying that to the bottom section of my face. And the only reason why I do this is because it's easier to blend down your jawline. With my flat top synthetic brush, I like to lightly move around the foundation. I don't like to apply pressure right from the beginning, just because I will have more coverage in the area that I applied the dot to. So I like to lightly move around the foundation and then apply pressure and flicking the brush towards my ears. I'm not big on blending my foundation down my neck just because I get it all over my jewelry and all over my clothes. So when I do blend, I do like a fat face, and that just nicely blends it underneath your jawline. So yeah, I like it. So I like to apply my foundation hella close to my lips for two reasons, and one of them is because it helps your lipstick from bleeding, especially if you overline like Kazil's, is that how you say it? I don't know, whatever, Kylie Jenner. And the second reason is because people always seem to leave out that area right before your lips, and it's a little off, so I make sure to get it nice and covered. I like to apply my foundation in sections. This way it's a little bit easier to blend out. If I were to dot my entire face and then blend out one side of my face, then my T-zone, when I get to the other side of my face, the foundation will be pretty much dry and a little bit harder to blend out. So I couldn't find the footage of me getting foundation super close to my eyebrows just because a lot of people leave that area out as well. But I get it super close to my eyebrows, and I do the same thing with my hairline. I just want to make sure that there is no skin of mine peeking through. I want everything to be one tone. I'm not so much putting on a lot of foundation for coverage. I just need it to be one tone. Now you may be thinking like, wow, she doesn't want her skin to peek through. But let's face it, if you see a person wearing foundation and then you see a little bit of their skin peeking through, it's a little off, and like, whoa, I think you probably should have covered that, or probably should not have put on foundation from the beginning. So I like to make sure that it looks natural, just AKA, even though you're wearing makeup, at least make it look good, if you know what I'm saying. It's probably just me, but I don't like to further buff out my foundation with the brush that I just used to apply my foundation. So I like to take a clean foundation brush and further buff out any edges or anything like that. Instead of building up coverage from my foundation, I like to spot correct any blemishes that I have or anything like that. And this avoids cakiness like from your foundation, and yeah, that's pretty much it. How I spot correct is actually pretty easy. All I do is apply concealer to the blemish and around the blemish. This way it's a little bit easier to blend into my foundation. If I were to apply concealer only to the blemish, then it'd be a little bit harder to blend into my foundation, if that makes any sense. If you are a really oily person or you just have a lot of blemishes, try this trick out. Take a tissue paper and blot your face. What this is going to do, it's going to pick up the oils from the foundation, leaving the pigment. That way they don't interact with your natural oils. And once that's done, I'm going back in with my clean foundation brush and giving it one last buff. Even though we already are in 3D, I'm going to give my face some dimension. I'm going to create illusions basically with a concealer that is 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. And I'm going to make sure it's sheer, that way it's not too heavy on my face. So with the concealer, I like to bring forth or lift up the sides of my lips, my chin. I didn't show you in this video, but the Cupid's bow is a for sure. And I don't do my nose so often, but I thought I'd show you, as well as the center of my forehead. But something I love to do is the apples of my cheeks, my cheekbones, and the arches of my eyebrows. So my favorite brush to do this is a synthetic tapered brush, just because it picks up any extra product you don't need on your face. To finish off my base, I like to powder the areas I highlighted with a translucent powder, especially under my eyes, just because this area is thinner than the rest of your face. You don't want to put a regular face powder under there, it will crease, so I like to just use a translucent powder. And as for my face, I just like using a regular face powder, and this is going to, I like to think of it as a diffuser. It's just going to minimize your pores and everything like so. Now for some final touches, I like to bronze, contour, blush, and highlight my face. Starting off with the bronzer, I suggest you find a bronzer that you would be comfortable with, because some can be more pigmented than others and some can be orangey, which is like, ooh, drop it, leave it, like back away slowly, pretend it's not yours kind of thing. Anyways, so for that Victoria's Secret glow, I'm going to apply it where the sun would naturally hit my face if I were to get a tan at the beach, which would be the hollows of my cheekbones, but I'm not going super precise. And when I'm bronzing this area, I make sure that I don't touch the highlighter, because that would defeat the whole purpose of the highlighter that we just did. So yeah, I like to balance things out on my forehead and on my chin. I like to apply around my chin just so it's a little bit more structured, and underneath just so I create a shadow to get rid of that double chin. So to make my bronzer look a little bit more natural, like a golden goddess or just came back from the beach, I blend the edges of my bronzer into my foundation, and to achieve this, I use a dual fiber stipple brush. For my contour, I'm just using a brush that came in a blush compact, you know, because it's similar like the Nars Ita. No, it's not. I'm just lying to myself because that brush is way too expensive. Anyways, it just nicely fits in the hollows of my cheekbones. So I'm just dragging the product across there and stopping before I pass the corner of my eye, just personal preference. And then I am blending the product upwards, because if I were to blend down, it would defeat the whole purpose. So I'm blending upwards without touching my highlighter, because then that would defeat the whole purpose of the highlighter. I don't like contouring my nose, but I do like creating shadows though. So I take a contour powder and apply it to the sides of my nose, flicking the product upwards. So it kind of does the same thing as a contour, but not really. And then I like to darken up the ball of my nose, just because it's a little bit too round for my liking. But it's okay, because makeup saved the day. Hey. And then I like to take my foundation brush and take whatever's left on top of it and apply it to my nose. That way it just looks like it's coming from within. Since my lips already fold over, I like to make it look a little bit more poutier, because that can never go wrong. So I just apply contour powder between my lips and chin, and the more you apply, the more you will have poutier lips. Just don't apply too much, because you don't want to be looking like J. Cole. That man. Since I don't have the Jolie jeans, I'm going to further darken up the area where my double chin lays, sleeps in, hides, and then blend it out with my dual fiber brush. Since I have a heart-shaped face, at least I think I do, I'm going to apply blush to the apples of my cheeks, and that is the most flattering application for that face shape. If you like having a super precise contour like the Kardashians, you could go back in with your highlighting brush and clean it up. The final step is applying highlighter, and I love applying it to the tops of my cheekbones, the tops of my arches, and my cupid's bow. I'm so obsessed with highlighter. I could be here all day just dusting my brush back and forth. I seriously wish I was best friends with Harry Potter so he can like zap me super small and I could just roll around in the highlighter and be like, yes. To be updated on the videos I post weekly, go ahead and click the subscribe button. And for any information on the products I use in today's video, as well as the brushes, they will be listed down below in the description box. Alright, that about wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you will see me in my next one.